welcome to the deep dive. So today we're looking at this really fascinating story from the Dhammapada commentary.
Yeah, it's about a monk, Loḷudāyittthera, often just called Loḷudāyi. It connects to verse 184.
Right, and it seems to be a story about, well, maybe ambition.
Yeah.
And things going a bit wrong.
Definitely ambition, yeah, and quite a bit of embarrassment for him. But the point really is this teaching the Buddha gives afterwards about something called stains.
Stains. Okay, that sounds intriguing. Like things decaying if you neglect them.
Exactly that. We're drawing on both the Pali sources and some Thai commentary versions here.
Good. So our mission today, let's unpack the story, figure out why this monk had such a, well, spectacularly bad day.
Huh. That's one way to put it. It was pretty bad.
And then pull out these lessons about stains, because they sound like they might actually still apply to us,
Oh, absolutely. Very relevant. So the setting is Savatthi, a really key location in the Buddhist time.
Okay, Savatthi. And who's there? What's the scene like?
Well, the commentary describes this huge community of lay followers. It says something like 500 million noble disciples.
500 million. Wow. Okay, that's a massive scale. So a very devout population.
Incredibly devout. And they had this routine. They'd give offerings before breakfast.
They entered practice, right?
Yeah. And then after breakfast, they'd bring more offerings, things like butter, oil, honey, molasses, cloth, valuable stuff to the vihara, the monastery.
And why bring those things after breakfast?
Specifically to listen to Dhamma talks. They were really keen on learning, on hearing the teachings.
Makes sense. So they're invested. And after the talks, what happens?
As they're leaving, they're chatting among themselves, and they're full of praise for Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana.
Ah, the big names. The Buddha's chief disciples, known for their wisdom and, well, everything, really.
Exactly. They were deeply admired.
Okay, so now, bring in our main character, Loḷudāyittthera. How does he fit into this scene of admiration?
Well, this is where it starts to go sideways for him. He overhears all this praise for Sariputta and Moggallana, and it seems to, get under his skin a bit. Pride, maybe some jealousy kicks in, because he pipes up and boasts.
Oh, what does he say?
He says something like, "Oh, so you praise them after hearing their talks. Just wait till you hear my Dhamma talk. What will you say then?"
Ooh, bold move.
Yeah.
He's really putting himself out there, comparing himself to the top guys.
Very bold. Almost a direct challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. And how do the people react? Are they impressed? Skeptical?
They seem to take him at his word, actually. The text says they thought, okay, well, this monk says he's a Dhamma speaker too. It's only right we should hear him.
So they're willing to give him a chance. They set it up.
Yep. They pick a day, they make the usual offerings to the Sangha, and they formally ask Loḷudāyi to give a Dhamma talk during the daytime. And he agrees.
Okay, the stage is set. His big moment.
The moment comes, he goes up, sits on the Dhamma seat. He's even holding the ornate fan. Looks the part entirely. And nothing. He looks down, tries to start, but he just cannot recall a single word of Dhamma. His mind is completely blank.
Seriously. After that huge boast, he can't say anything at all.
Not a word. It's a complete failure. He has to backtrack and say, look, I'll just recite some basic phrases later. Let someone else give the main talk now. And he gets down.
Oh, that must have been incredibly awkward. Mortifying, even.
You'd think so. But the people, they're quite patient. They actually give him another shot.
They do. What happens?
Yeah, well, they get someone else to give the main Dhamma talk for the day session. Then they help Loḷudāyi back onto the seat, maybe thinking, okay, the pressure's off. Maybe he can just do the recitation part now.
Right. A simpler task. Second attempt. How does it go?
Same result. Still blank. Cannot see anything. Can't recall anything to recite.
Oh, no.
So he tries to stall again. He says, okay, I'll speak tonight. Let someone else do the recitation now. And down he goes again.
So daytime talk failed. Daytime recitation failed.
Now
he's pushed it to the night session.
Exactly. And the people are still, going along with it. They get someone else to recite the phrases for the day.
And they bring him back that night. Still hoping.
They do. It's the third attempt. They get another monk to handle the main evening talk, and then it's Loḷudāyi's turn again for his promised discourse.
Please tell me this time is different. Third time lucky.
Afraid not. Same story. Even at night, mind's a blank. Can't find a single thing to say.
This is getting painful.
He uses the same excuse, just pushes it further. Right, look, I'll speak only at dawn. Let someone else speak tonight. And steps down. Again.
Dawn. They've waited all day, all evening, through the night. This is the fourth attempt now.
Fourth attempt. They get someone else to speak through the night, and then at dawn, they bring Loḷudāyi back one last time.
And let me guess.
You guessed it. Same result. Gets on the seat, looks around, nothing. Cannot see, cannot recall any Dhamma to share. 4 tries, 4 complete public failures.
Okay, now the crowd's patience has got to be gone.
Completely gone, snapped. The text says the whole large crowd just erupts in anger. People start grabbing clods of earth, sticks.
Whoa, sticks and dirt. It's turning into a mob scene.
Pretty much. They start shouting at him things like, "You blind fool, you made such a big deal boasting when we praised Sariputta and Moggallana. Why can't you speak now?"
Ouch. Throwing his own words back at him.
Exactly. And then they start chasing him. He just turns and runs.
Chasing him out of the assembly. That's just utter humiliation.
It gets worse. As he's running away, scrambling to escape this angry crowd, he falls.
Falls. Falls where? Not just tripping on the ground?
No. The text is quite specific. He falls into a latrine pit, or maybe a dung heap. Basically, he ends up covered in filth.
Oh, wow. From boasting orator to being chased by a mob and falling into...
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about as low as you can get. A really graphic end to his attempt at glory.
Extremely graphic and symbolic, you could say.
So does the Buddha find out about this whole disaster?
Yes. The Blessed One either arrives or is informed about what's happened. He asks the monks nearby what the commotion is about, what they're discussing.
And they tell him the whole story. The boast, the failures, the chase, the fall.
They recount everything, and they specifically mention Loďudāyi's apparent jealousy towards Sariputta and Moggallana as the starting point.
What's the Buddha's reaction to this? Is he just disappointed in Loďudāyi?
He uses it as a teaching moment, naturally. He offers a deeper perspective. He says, "Monks, this isn't actually the first time this has happened to him. Even in a past life, he was immersed in a dung heap."
Not the first time. So this isn't just a one-off bad day. There's a pattern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Buddha connects it to past karma, past behavior. He then tells a Jataka story, a story of a past life.
Oh, okay. What was the story?
In that life, Loďudāyi had been born as a pig. A pig living quite happily, apparently, in a dung heap.
A pig in a dung heap. Got it.
And this pig sees a majestic lion nearby. And what does the pig do?
Knowing Loďudāyi's pattern, does he challenge the lion?
He does. He challenges the lion. But of course, when the lion actually approaches, the pig, being, well, a pig in a dung heap, unclean and smelly, gets scared and runs back into its filth.
Right.
The lion calls out something like, "Hey, we're both 4-legged creatures. Why are you running away scared? Come back and fight."
And the pig.
The pig, from the safety of its dung heap, shouts back this kind of foul-smelling boast about how disgusting its body is and challenges the lion to come into the dung heap to fight, claiming victory.
Wow. So boasting from a position of filth, essentially.
Pretty much. And the Buddha identifies the characters. The pig, he says, was Loďudāyi in that life.
And the lion?
The lion was Sariputta.
Oh, okay. So the Buddha's drawing this direct line. The boasting, the challenge to someone superior, the inability to fall through, and this association with filth or being immersed in dung, it's a recurring theme for Loďudāyi across lifetimes.
Exactly. It shows his current failure isn't random, but part of a deeper pattern of character and perhaps consequence. And this whole incident, especially his inability to speak the Dhamma he thought he knew, becomes the perfect setup for the core teaching.
Right. So what was the core teaching the Buddha wanted to impart from this? What was Loďudāyi's fundamental mistake, according to the Buddha?
The Buddha explained that, yes, Loďudāyi had learned some Dhamma. He wasn't completely ignorant initially, but his crucial failing was that he did not practice recitation. The Pali word is sajja.
Sajja. Recitation, meaning he didn't review it, didn't keep it fresh.
Precisely. He hadn't done the ongoing work to consolidate that knowledge, to make it readily available through regular repetition and reflection.
So it's not just about learning something once, but about the maintenance of that knowledge, the active effort to retain it.
Exactly right. And the Buddha then broadens this principle. He says this kind of decay through neglect happens in many areas of life. He gives this verse outlining 4 kinds of stains, things that cause ruin or decay.
Okay, what's the verse?
The verse goes, "Non-recitation is the stain of teachings. Not getting up is the stain of houses. Laziness is the stain of appearance. Negligence is the stain of a guardian."
Okay, 4 stains. Let's break those down. What is stain? The Pali is mala, right? What does it really mean here?
Yeah, mala. The commentary makes it clear. It means something that causes ruin, corruption, or decay. Think of it like rust forming on metal or mold growing on something left damp. It's spoilage due to neglect.
Got it. So the first one, non-recitation is the stain of teachings.
Yeah.
This links directly back to Loḷudāyi.
Absolutely. It's his specific problem. The commentary explains that any learning, whether it's scripture, pariyatti, or even a practical skill, sippa, if you don't continuously recite it, review it, practice it, it gets lost.
It fades away.
It fades, or it just doesn't come to mind when you actually need it. It's like it's become stained, unusable, like that knowledge is corrupted by lack of use.
Right, like cramming for an exam, you might know it for a day, but if you don't revisit it, it's gone. It's not really yours anymore. It's stained.
Perfectly put. It loses its life, its accessibility.
Okay. Next stain. Not getting up is the stain of houses. What's not getting up there? Just being lazy.
It's about inertia, yeah. The commentary pictures someone living in a house who just doesn't, get up and do the necessary maintenance.
Like fixing things.
Exactly. Ignoring the leaky roof, the cracked plaster, the general upkeep. If you don't physically get up and attend to the house's needs, it gradually falls into disrepair, into ruin. The stain is the decay caused by that inaction.
So letting things slide, literally, until the whole structure suffers. Makes sense. What about the third one? Laziness is the stain of appearance.
This one applies broadly, monks, lay people, anyone. If you're lazy, the word is kosaja, about taking care of yourself, your physical body, or your essential belongings, your requisites, then your appearance suffers.
How so?
You start looking unkempt, run down, your clothes might be dirty or torn, your living space messy. Laziness leaves a visible mark, a stain on how you present yourself and manage your immediate world.
Right. So neglecting basic upkeep of yourself and your things leads to a kind of visible decay. Laziness stains your presentation.
Yes, it signals a lack of care, which becomes apparent.
Okay. And the final one. Negligence is the stain of a guardian. Guardian of what?
The commentary uses two really good examples. First, imagine a cow herd. If that cow herd is negligent freer, pamada is the word here, heedlessness, maybe they doze off or they're playing games instead of watching.
Right, not paying attention.
Yeah. What happens to the cows they're supposed to be guarding? They can wander off, get eaten by predators, get stolen, or maybe they go into someone else's field and eat their crops.
Which causes problems for everyone.
Exactly. The herd is harmed or lost, and the negligent cow herd faces blame, maybe punishment. The stain is the ruin that comes from failing to actively protect what was in their care.
Okay, that's clear. What's the second example?
The second example brings it right back to the spiritual path. It says, for a monastic, negligence, pamada, means being heedless in guarding the six sense doors.
Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind.
Correct. Especially the mind. If these doors are left unguarded, if you're not mindful, then defilements, kilesa, like greed, anger, delusion, distraction, can just rush in.
Like predators getting the cows?
Precisely. And these defilements can cause the person to fall away from their practice, from the path, from the sasana or dispensation itself. The stain here is the spiritual ruin caused by that lack of inner vigilance.
Wow, that's a powerful analogy. So whether it's cows or your own mind, negligence, failing to be watchful and protective, lets harm in, causing decay or ruin.
Exactly. So putting it all together, a stain in this teaching isn't usually about something bad actively attacking from outside. It's more about the internal failure, the failure to recite, to get up, to overcome laziness, to be vigilant. It's decay from within due to inaction.
So Loḷudāyi's very literal, very public, fall into the latrine becomes this kind of gross metaphor for what happens when something inside decays through neglect, whether it's knowledge, property, appearance, or our own mindfulness. It becomes unusable, undesirable, even foul.
Perfectly summarized. His outer state mirrored the inner state of his unused, stained Dhamma knowledge. It failed him when he needed it most because he hadn't maintained it.
It really is striking how this old story, with a pig challenging a lion and monks falling into dung heaps, still speaks so directly to us.
It really does. Because think about your own life, right? We all learn things for work, for hobbies, for personal growth. We acquire skills, but what happens if you don't review, if you don't practice?
It fades. It gets rusty.
Yeah.
Stained.
Just like Loḷudāyi's Dhamma. It might be in there somewhere, but it's not available when you need it.
And the houses. We all have things we need to maintain our homes, sure, but also maybe our workspaces, our relationships, our digital lives even. If we don't get up and do the upkeep.
Things fall apart, clutter accumulates, problems grow, ruin sets in.
And appearance.
Yeah.
Maybe not just how we look, but the state of our personal environment. Laziness in keeping things in order, or even in basic self-care, it shows. It leaves that stain.
And we're all guardians too, aren't we? We guard our health, guard our time, guard our commitments, and crucially, we have to guard our minds.
Against what? Distractions. negativity.
All of it, against getting overwhelmed, against harmful thoughts, against just drifting heedlessly. Negligence here, letting those defilements in, that really causes problems. It stains our peace of mind, our progress.
It's interesting that the text says, after the Buddha gave this teaching on stains, many people listening actually attained stages of enlightenment, starting with stream entry.
Yeah, that detail shows just how powerfully this teaching landed. These seemingly simple truths about diligence versus neglect obviously struck a deep chord.
It really pushes you to reflect, doesn't it? To ask yourself, okay, what are the teachings in my life that need reviewing? What are the houses I need to get up and maintain?
Where might laziness be creating a stain on my appearance or my surroundings?
And what am I supposed to be guarding my focus, my well-being, my responsibilities? Where might negligence be letting things decay?
Just recognizing those potential stains, the areas where maybe we're letting things slide through inaction, that's the first step, isn't it? That's the invitation from this whole story.
Yeah.
Are we actively maintaining what's important or letting it decay?
So maybe a final thought for you to consider. The next time you feel that temptation to put something off, whether it's practicing a skill, tidying up that space, taking a mindful pause, or dealing with a responsibility, perhaps just picture Loḷudāyittheravatthu. Not necessarily the fall,
Maybe not the fall itself.
but the reason for the fall, the consequence of letting things get stained by neglect. How might remembering that possibility, the possibility of decay through inaction, help you choose differently in that moment?